The news we've been waiting for is finally here. We have a date for the Starfield showcase and the game itself. Let's get into it. How's it going, everybody? Plush Deathcry here, and I hope you are having a great week. I know I am, because we've got some big Xbox and Bethesda news to get into. But before we do that, be sure to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell to stay up to date on all of my latest content. I'll be dropping videos every week. But enough of that, let's get into today's big news. On Wednesday morning, Xbox and Bethesda dropped a trailer for Starfield that announced that there would be a Starfield Direct on June 11th, presumably right after the Xbox Summer Showcase, and that the game would be coming out this year on September 6th. Now, if you're like me, you probably spent a good 10 minutes crying about how the game was delayed past when Microsoft had promised.
How could you do this to me?
I'm just kidding. You know, a game of this size and scale probably has a ton of bugs. We're talking about Bethesda here, who is infamous for how buggy their games are at launch. And so, probably the level of polish that they need for this game is unlike any game that they've ever done before. That being said, a lot is riding on this game. If they don't get it right, then people are going to be blaming Xbox for mishandling Bethesda and saying that they didn't give it the proper care and attention that they needed to make sure that Starfield was the game that everybody wanted it to be. That being said, there's some very promising things about this trailer that we'll jump into in just a second. It's not all doom and gloom. Now, I'll be honest, I'm also a little bit relieved that the game got delayed because, aside from getting a better product in the end, Diablo 4 is also one of my most anticipated games this year, and if it had launched right before Starfield, then I'm afraid that it wouldn't have gotten the proper attention and breathing time that it needed. Because, let's be real, when Starfield comes out, it's going to be one of the highest selling games of the year. This is probably one of the most, if not the most important new IP ever for Xbox, at least since the launch of Gears, and it's arguably one of the reasons why they bought Bethesda in the first place. Many of Bethesda's games are considered to be some of the best ever, aside from Fallout 76, but we won't talk about that one. Skyrim is still revered and played by a ton of people to this day, and that's a game with no multiplayer components outside of mods. Something incredibly impressive in my opinion. Enough of that though, let's get into that Starfield trailer. The trailer opens up with a shot of what looks like a big spaceship. I don't know if this is the player's spaceship that they'll just have been able to customize, but it looks pretty massive. We then get a look at a space station. Now, if there's any bells ringing in your head, it might be because this looks almost exactly like, if not the very same space station that we saw in the initial Starfield reveal back in 2018. I don't know if this is true or not, but the planet that the space station is hovering above looks kind of like Earth. I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you think that's Earth or not, or if you think you've spotted anything in the trailer that I might have missed. Back to the trailer though, we then get a look from inside the space station before showing off other things like this beautiful desolate moon. And then we see some strange ruins on there with some kind of strange gravitational energy that's causing the rocks around it to circle. We then seem to enter this ruin, which triggers some kind of ancient gyroscopic alien technology and picks up the player. My guess is that this might be a location that we visit as part of the main story, and it's tied to the mystery that we're trying to solve about humanity's greatest question. The trailer then gives us the release date of September 6th, 2023. But that's not all. Todd Howard then comes out and he shouts out lead producer Tim Lamb in the background, who's actually sitting there and testing out the game while Todd is speaking. And at one point it looks like he's engaged in a long-distance firefight on some planet. I don't know, maybe Mars? Todd also teases that they have a lot to show us in June, and that while there will be a lot of hallmarks from past Bethesda games in this one, this game will be a very unique experience. The trailer also gives us some brief glimpses at some new environments that look really cool, and some alien creatures as well, including a few seconds look at a fight with a worm thing with mantis arms. And it honestly looks like the stuff of nightmares, but it appeared to be a level 75 creature, so presumably the level cap in Starfield will be pretty high if there is one at all. We also see another shot of the player running around with some kind of dinosaur-looking aliens. They're actually pretty big looking, maybe about the size of Skyrim's dragons. Now I'm getting ahead of myself here, but if we're able to turn them into mounts or farm them at a base that we built, then I think that'd be really cool. And that's about it. Not the longest trailer, but honestly, I was expecting to get this kind of announcement in the form of a social media post on Twitter or an Xbox Wire article, so getting a trailer that we can dissect and have a few more morsels of information until June is all good with me. The trailer impressed me for a variety of reasons, but I think the biggest being that it seemed to have been running at 60 frames per second. Now, I don't know if Starfield will actually run at 60 frames per second, but if this is part of the reason why Xbox and Bethesda delayed the game by 3 months just to get a performance mode in there, then I'm all for it. I'm sure they'll still have a quality mode in there, as I know Todd loves his graphical fidelity and his cinematic frame rates. I would definitely say that I've become spoiled by performance modes, and that's definitely my preferred way of playing, but I definitely think the choice should be there for everybody, because honestly I don't know how people would have felt about a next-gen game still being held back at 30 frames. Starfield is probably my most anticipated game this year, and the comparisons of it to Elder Scrolls Oblivion could not make me more excited. Oblivion is probably my favorite Bethesda game, and it's the game that made me fall in love with video games in the first place. The sense of freedom and adventure I felt from playing that game was unparalleled to anything else I had played before it. If Starfield is able to be the sci-fi spiritual successor to Oblivion that Todd has kind of teased it being, then I'll be over the moon. Pun intended. The delay does suck, but this year is looking really promising for Xbox. It's already miles away better than 2022. While in 2022 we had some really great smaller titles from Xbox like As Dusk Falls, Pentiment, and the full release of Grounded, there weren't a lot of big AAA first-party games, if any. With the surprise release of Hi-Fi Rush, which is probably my front-runner for Game of the Year right now, and upcoming big titles like Minecraft Legends, Redfall, Forza Motorsport, and possibly even Hellblade 2, Xbox is not only poised to have a bigger year than last year, but one of its best years ever. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like these kind of videos and want to see more breakdowns like this, let me know in the comments below as far as any thoughts or suggestions for what you'd like to see in future videos. Feel free to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay up to date on my latest content. I'll see you guys in the next one.